Now we turn over to think about the potential solution to information overload. This problem have been addressed by many approaches. Started with Vannevar Bush, who presented an idea that it would be nice if we have a magic box called Memorex that it can answer all our questions by just tapping on it. That kind of philosophy basically followed by many scientists who believe that information retrieval through automated fashion will address the problem. However, as later on we find that not every problem can be addressed by fully automated searching and filtering analysis. Especially if we find there's the problem we're facing is quite complicated and is in large scale, that we don't even have a good understanding of the problem and we don't have a good model of how things work. So especially in the intelligence analysis community, the problem most time are ill-defined or incomplete. The fully automated approach has been given way to some of the more human-oriented, human-centered approach. And visual analytics is one of the branch of technology that moving towards more human and computer collaborative system, where computer will take care of the data storage and visualization and building models, but they're going to listen to human to give directions. For example, when the data are initially looked at, human may only have partial knowledge to interpret it. There's not enough understanding to articulate the whole structure and process. But as the human explore more on the data, there is more complete models in the human mind that can be used to guide the computer to make a computational model. So in the bottom, we look at this feedback loop between knowledge and data mediated by visualization and computational model. Well, sense-making in visual analytic process is very hard to prescribe exactly the process that's going on. That makes the design of the tools extremely hard. However, we do want to have some way to articulate that process so that we can guide the design of tools and methods. One of the theory about sense-making is to differentiate the number of representations and processes. In the diagram you see in here, there's a number of boxes present the data in different form, different kind of representation. And those arrows represent the processes that kind of transform from one form of data to another. So this whole process, actually, we can see there are two major loops. The first is the process of collecting data on the raw measurements and put them into a structure so that it can be used as evidence. Okay, if you mouse over that shoebox, you're going to see some of the text explanation. But it's the bits and pieces of information that potentially can be organized as evidence files. Okay, and the second higher level loop is to bring the evidence into a more meaningful schema so that human can use their knowledge to form certain judgment or hypothesis. While that hypothesis can be partially formed, it may require additional evidence to be collected, which will probably require additional data to be collected. So there's the loop means that there's a feedback and feed-forward loop that guide the whole process. This theory becomes very important for many of the visual analytical research because we can particularly target these two loops and the process in between to really assist the visual analytical process. Visual analytics as a technology development has been built upon many advances in the multidisciplinary research and engineering. At the heart of this technology, we find that scientific information visualization is sitting in the center of this whole field. However, in order to make it work, we do need to have ability to manage huge amount of data and to filter and to search data, and that will fit into the visualization systems. We also need to develop better data mining tools to reduce the amount of data that has to be visualized and make sure data are relevant. On the other hand, we have to make sure that human perception and cognition are coupled well with information visualization in terms of the understanding and problem solving and analytical reasoning. We rely on human-computer interaction technology to bridge the gap between human and information visualization systems. Visual analytics have many flavors because the whole field involves so many disciplines. The slides show one of the potential ways to split component of the field into disciplinary territory. And you see in the middle we have human-centered computing and information visualization as the core of this field. But people from all different fields participate in this process. And if you hear or listen to stories about visual analytics, you can discover they carry their own background. So I hope you can identify yourself as which field you're coming from so that you know your strengths. But in the same time, you should recognize other fields also dealing with the same problem, which actually serve as a bridge to talk to each other.